Hi guys, I'm back with another prophetic message. Um, yeah, this one it's kind of heavy, but it's hopeful at the same time. And while it is a heavy one, um, I'm I am eager to deliver this message. And it the way that this prophetic message came about, like how God was speaking to me about it. It was over the course of a couple of months. This was way before I even started this channel or this ministry. So, yeah, the fact that the Lord has allowed me to release it now, yeah, I think it's very uh, important that it be released. And um, yeah, I hope that it will find whoever that it needs to find, that it will locate you if this one is for you. And I hope that it will just encourage you to continue in your stand, in your stance, standing for the promises of God in your life. And yeah, just to keep believing in Him and trusting in Him. Okay. So, yeah, this prophetic message, excuse me, it is a kingdom spouse word. And okay, I'll just start with how the Lord gave it to me. So, I had a dream that I was on a video call with a kingdom spouse. And in the dream, I wasn't myself. It was almost like I was another woman, but then I was also looking in on the conversation that was happening. So, yeah, in the video call, me and this kingdom spouse, he was a male, so this is someone's kingdom husband. We were just like talking, having a good time, and it was all fun and laughter, although there were, some moments of silence. But yeah, this woman, or should I say I could tell that the kingdom husband wasn't feeling all the way there. And I don't know why, but I took a screenshot. When you take a screenshot of a video call, so it'll show like your picture at the top in a small section, and then the greater part of the screenshot will be the person that you're talking to, and then you can see like whatever is on your phone screen. So if you have the time on like the top right hand corner, and then your battery percentage on the the top left hand corner. And yeah, so I just took a screenshot, and then yeah, we said our goodbyes, and I told this kingdom husband, I was like, okay, I love you. And yeah, we hung up. So I what stuck out to me was the time of the call. The time was 15:38. So 38 minutes past 3, or yeah, close to 20 to 4. But yeah, the number 15:38 stuck out, and then the battery percentage on the screenshot was 85%. So yeah, at the time I didn't really make much of it, but then the Lord just unctioned me to Google what those numbers mean. And we don't believe in angel numbers because they are new age, they are a deception from the enemy. But we believe in biblical numbers. Um, there's a whole book in the Bible called Numbers, and the Lord speaks through numbers as well. The Lord, you shouldn't ever put him in a box. He can speak through numbers, he can speak through music, he can speak through books, through yeah, through anything really. So yeah, I went to the Strong's Concordance and I checked, what is 1538 and what is 85. What do those numbers mean? Okay, so I checked 1538, and the Hebrew Strong's Concordance says 1538 means Golgoleth, which is or a skull, a head, or a poll of persons, so counting up the number of people. And that just instantly, I thought of Golgotha, where we know that's the place where the crucifixion happened. It's where Jesus Christ, died, and 3 days later he rose again from the dead. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay. And yeah, the whole thing with skull, I instantly just thought of death, and then the Lord confirmed it through taking me to the scriptures where it details the death and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Okay, and then the number 85, um, what popped up first was I think it's the Greek, the Greek Strong's Concordance, and the number 85 is ademoneo, and it means heaviness. Yeah, it means to be full of heaviness, to be very heavy, to be in distress of mind. So, yeah, there were scriptures listed there as well, and I will get to the scriptures. Um, but yeah, when I put these two together, skull, Golgotha, and to be heavy or to be distressed in the mind, I instantly heard suicide. Okay, suicide and depression. Yeah, that was specifically what I heard, suicide and depression. So I investigated, the scriptures, and yeah, one of the scriptures that are listed here is Philippians chapter 2, verse 26, which says, I think it's Paul writing to the Philippians about Timothy and another one of his co-workers in the kingdom. And it says that he longed after you all and was full of heaviness, or he was in distress because of ye that heard that he was unwell. Okay. And the next scripture that the Lord led me to was Mark. Let me just find it here. So the scripture is Mark chapter 14, verse 33, but I'm going to read from verse 32 to 38. Okay, and it says, they went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. Verse 33, he took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. Verse 34, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. He said to them, stay here and keep watch. Going a little further, he fell to the ground and prayed that if possible the hour might pass from him. Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Simon, he said to Peter, are you asleep? Couldn't you keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Okay, and the next scripture that the Lord took me to was in First Chronicles chapter 10, and I believe the specific verse that the Lord wanted me to point out was, um, hold on, it is verse 10. Okay, but I'm gonna read from verse 1 to 14. Okay, this is First Chronicles chapter 10, verse 1 to 14. And just for a bit of background, this is the downfall of King Saul. We know that the Lord, the people of Israel had been serving the Lord, and the Lord was their king, but they wanted like an actual human king. So the Lord appointed and anointed Saul to be the king of Israel. But of course, Saul being human, he was disobedient. Excuse me, he was disobedient towards the Lord. And before this particular encounter, they were about to go to war with the Philistines, and Saul went to a medium, okay? And we know the Lord is against divination, witchcraft, sorcery, all of that. So Saul going to the medium to consult with the medium and find out what he had to do instead of going to God himself, who was always with him. That I think that was the final straw for God, because not only was he being disobedient, but he was consulting with familiar spirits and involving himself with divination, which the Lord had expressly told the Israelites to stay away from, because it is a practice that is detestable to him. So now, yeah, they're at war. Israel and King Saul, along with his sons, are at war with the Philistines. So let's read and see what happens. Okay, verse 1. Now the Philistines fought against Israel. The Israelites fled before them, and many fell dead on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines were in hot pursuit of Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons Jonathan, who was David's best friend, Abinadab, and Malchishua. The fighting grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook him, they wounded him. Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and abuse me." Okay, and by abuse, if you were a prisoner of war and they captured you, they would sort of, they would torture you and beat you and sometimes even sodomize you. So Saul was just trying to avoid that humiliation and that horror, and he asked his armor bearer to kill him. Okay, but his armor bearer was terrified and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died. So Saul and his 3 sons died, and all his house died together. When all the Israelites in the valley saw that the army had fled, and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their towns and fled, and the Philistines came and occupied them. Verse 8. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him and took his head and his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news among their idols and their people. They put his armor in the temple of their gods, and hung up his head in the temple of Dagon. So verse 9 and 10, that's where they mention the head. Now remember, the number 85 means skull or a head, and Golgoleth, which is about Golgotha. Okay, verse 11. When all the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their valiant men went and took the bodies of Saul and his sons and brought them to Jabesh. Then they buried their bones under the great tree in Jabesh, and they fasted 7 days. Verse 13, Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord, and even consulted a medium for guidance, and did not inquire of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. So, if you notice with all the scriptures, there's a very common theme of distress and death. Okay, and for who this word is for, the Lord is okay, and this isn't for everyone. So please, as I always say, take this word back to God. It should only be a confirmation, of what He has been speaking to you. And, the Lord will provide more clarity. And please test the Spirit as always. Do your due diligence, because we only prophesy in part, and everyone is in different seasons. Everyone's situation is different, okay? And this is mainly, like I said, a kingdom marriage word, but it can apply to other areas of your life, okay? So who this word is for, you had a prodigal, and there were some bad things that happened in the past. They mistreated you. They didn't handle you correctly. They were supposed to protect you and provide for you and honor you, but they did the complete opposite, and that could have been because of their own inner demons that they were fighting, mental health problems, witchcraft, and demonic interference, and even interference from other parties, But they basically they they treated you wrong, and they weren't listening to God. They were being disobedient to the Lord, not only in terms of this kingdom relationship that the Lord was trying to put together, but in other areas of their life as well. They just were not heeding to the call of God. They weren't being obedient. They weren't good stewards of the things that the Lord blessed them with. And one of those things was you, okay? And you did all that you could. You engaged in spiritual warfare. You interceded for them. You kept on praying for them, even more than you prayed for yourself. You tried to help them. You ministered to them, sending them encouraging scriptures, and sending them messages and texts, just to let them know that you are praying for them and you are with them. But even with that, they messed up. They decided to run away. They were Jonahs, okay? They just decided to run away. And yeah, so the Lord instructed you to stop, to let them go. And you were obedient this whole time, and you were also obedient when the Lord told you to let them go, to give them up to Him, so that He could deal with them, so that He could heal them, so that He could work through their problems with Him. And yeah, so you're at a point where you've given it up to God. You've taken your hands off it. Yes, you do still love them. You still care about them, but you're doing it from a distance, because you recognize now that the Lord wants to do something and deal with them. So the Lord has been putting them under judgment, okay? And that is not a pretty process to go through. Many of the times it requires that God will strip you, He'll separate you from the people and the things that you thought were the end all and be all in your life. He'll take away certain resources. He'll stop giving you opportunities, and he will make you face him. And it's not a nice thing to go through, but it's necessary. And the same is true with your kingdom spouse. They have been under God's wrath, and to you, maybe you have them on social media, and you feel like they are, what's the term? You feel like they are living their best life, but in reality, they're really going through it. Yeah, the Lord has taken them through a really painful process, and they've lost a lot. They've lost family, they've lost friends. Some of them have lost, money. Some of them have, become destitute to a certain degree, but the Lord hasn't taken his hands off of them. Just because they're under God's judgment and going through this process, it doesn't mean that the Lord loves them any less. It's just God giving them a wake-up call, okay? So through this, they now have reached a point where they realize that they've messed up, and they are repenting. They're turning back to God. They're saying, Lord, how could I not have seen it? How could I not listen to you? I know now that I messed up a good thing, not only with you, but with this kingdom spouse that you have given me so graciously, okay? And the Lord wants you to know that, you know, they are feeling very, very, very depressed. They're racked with guilt. They are racked with shame. They just can't fathom the fact that they treated you the way that they treated you. And it's not an easy thing to realize, when you come to that place of like, oh my gosh, like, this was the one, this was the person that the Lord destined me to be with, and I treated them so poorly. I dishonored them. I was so hateful of them. Okay, it's not an easy thing to come to that realization. And yeah, the Lord is saying to you now that your kingdom spouse has been going through a lot. They've also been going through changes, some of them not so pretty, and some of them are really good changes. They've been growing, you know, despite the painful process, they have been growing. They've been drawing closer to God. The Lord has placed his favor upon them once again. They have repented, they're sorry. And a part of the reason why they may not have contacted you yet, or why they haven't disclosed this to you yet, is because of that shame, that regret, that guilt that they feel, and it's consuming them. It is consuming them in their deepest depths of their soul. It's consuming their mind. They aren't eating well, they're not sleeping well, they're not doing well at work because of this judgment and this wrath and the guilt, shame, and regret that they're feeling. Okay, so the Lord also gave me songs that he was using to sort of explain how they're feeling. So I'm going to go into the first song, and this is Moving Mountains by Usher, and I'm just going to read some of the lyrics, okay? Well, I'll read all of them, but I'll just explain some parts, okay? So the intro, he's talking and he's like, it's like whatever I do, I just can't get through to you. I'm never going to tell you nothing wrong. Listen. Okay. So here the Lord is conveying that your kingdom spouse feels a blockage. when you have been treated so wrong, um, it's hard to continue to show grace and kindness and love. Like, yes, you do still love your spouse, you still care about them, and maybe you had excuse me, some resentment and bitterness towards them, and the Lord helped you to heal through that. The Lord really comforted you. He was your main source of comfort and strength as you were dealing with, the pain and the trauma that they put you through. But at the same time, the Lord, um, or this experience, um, it taught you to toughen your skin, and now you have a guard up. Um, you're not going to be quick to just let them back in so easily. So they can feel that, maybe you've been talking to them here and there, and they can feel that you don't really feel much pity for them, or if you do, you're not going to show it because they've taken advantage of that in the past. So now you've got your guard up, and it's okay to do that. The Bible says guard your heart. And that's your form of protection right now. So with that intro part, that's what the Lord is conveying, is that your kingdom spouse can feel that you have your guard up. So the first verse says, "Now she loved me, surely I loved her. Used to jump up in the Maybach and roll out. Used to care, used to share. The love that she used to give me can't be found. I lost my way, she said she'd stay. And lately I've been sleeping with a ghost. My stock is down and out. I used to be worth my weight in gold." So they're acknowledging that there was love between you guys. You guys had some really fun times. Well, while you may not have been rolling out in a Maybach, like fancy car type of thing, but you guys had fun times. You shared some really amazing experiences, amazing conversations, and just that deep connection was an amazing thing. And the love that you guys shared was amazing. But now they don't feel that love anymore. um, it says, "I lost my way. She said she'd stay, and lately I've been sleeping with the ghost." So they may have told you in the past that, um, I have some issues that I need to deal with, and you may have witnessed some of those issues. Some of these guys have been going through, addictions and mental health issues, family problems, financial problems, and you said that you were going to be there, which was true. You were there for them. But now that, you know, the grace door is shut, they can't get through to you, and they feel like you you've shut them out completely. So the next part, that was before the Great Depression kicked in and rocked us. And that was before the hurricane came in and stopped us. I told you to leave, but you lied to me when you said that, baby, no worries, I promise to get us back. So they're kind of placing the blame on you over here, which is a little bit delulu, like they're kind of delusional. And maybe it's true to a certain extent that, you committed to being there and to working out your issues. But the thing is, a relationship is give and take, and it's a commitment between two people. So it can't just be one person working towards bettering the relationship and strengthening bonds and working through those issues. They had to put in the work as well, but they were too in their feelings, and they got into their head too much to realize that. And they're kind of playing the victim in this whole thing and placing the blame on you, which is wrong. Okay. And yeah, the chorus says, "I know sorries just wouldn't do it. Her heart is obliterated. I'm trying to travel through, but it's like moving mountains. it's like moving mountains. Hey, so that part is pretty self-explanatory through this whole process. Your heart has been broken, it's been shattered into a million pieces, and not just one time. Maybe there were several encounters. And I just want to put it out there that this is not about an abusive relationship. Um, while this kingdom spouse may have had some negative traits, but the Lord the Lord revealed that they are your spouse, and that they are a good person, but they have certain things to work through. So don't think about this like as being about your abusive ex-partner. No, the Lord is against abuse of any kind. All right. So, yeah, your heart has been broken on more than one occasion. They've disappointed you, they've hurt you, they've let you down. And they're saying that, a simple sorry is just not going to fix it. Um, and it's like moving mountains, trying to get through to you, trying to feel the love again, and trying to get the relationship back to what it was. It is like moving mountains. And then he says, but I keep climbing and hoping things would change. Then the sky turns gray and the water from the rain washes progress away. It's like moving mountains. It's like moving mountains. So here he's basically saying that the more that they climb, the more that they work through their issues and make progress, it's sort of like something pulls them 10 steps back. So um, whatever whatever they've been trying to do in their own power, and them going through this judgment, this wrath, this punishment from God, excuse me, it just seems to dismantle and disintegrate whatever progress that they feel that they had made. Okay. And then he says, why you just leave me, just leave me be, just leave me, just leave me be, just leave me, just leave me be, just leave me, just leave me be. Oh. And here he's saying like his partner or your kingdom spouse is saying you should just leave. And they're not saying that because they hate you. They're not saying that because they they disregard you. They're saying because I have so many things that I'm dealing with, and I'm dealing with so much guilt and remorse. You're a good person, you should move on and just leave me. Okay. And then the next verse, she don't touch me, I don't touch her. We ain't really ever say a word. I really want to give her everything she deserves, but the bad took away the good. She thinks that I'm full of it. Arguments, always mad. Man, I'm tired. Every kiss that I miss, girl, I'm trying. So this is them pretty much working from their own understanding and in their own strength. Um, they're still not letting they're still not letting God fully work through them just yet. So they they feel like even when they touch you, when you guys talk, you guys don't talk anymore. There's no love that can be found. Okay. And he acknowledges here that yes, he's arrogant. Your kingdom spouse may have been dealing with a lot of pride and a really huge ego. They put their value in how they look and how much money they made and their job and the cars, all of that stuff. Um, and they're saying that despite all of that, um, all I was doing was trying to work to give you what I thought you deserved. I thought you wanted the cars. I thought you wanted the big house. I thought you wanted the trips to Cancun or wherever, that extravagant lifestyle. But you don't really care much about that. You just wanted them, you wanted their time. So that's what the Lord is trying to convey here. And yeah, your kingdom spouse is saying that, girl, I'm trying, okay? I am trying. I am working so hard, and I'm going through this. I'm going through it. So the next part, you never believe when I say, and I never believe it when you say, I love you. And I shouldn't complain about it. I should take it like a man and walk up out it, 'cause we will never be the same. And I've been standing in gas, and you have been the flame. So here, they're pretty much saying that the relationship is over, from their point of view, or they feel like it's over, because even when you do say, I love you, they don't really feel like you're saying it out of a genuine place. They think that you're saying it, just as a friend, or just for the sake of saying it. And even you yourself, when because of all the pain that they put you through, when they say that they love you, you don't necessarily believe it, because their actions in the past have shown you that they don't love you. Because when you love someone, you treat them with love and respect, you honor them, you protect them, you nurture them, and you take their feelings into consideration, which is something that they never did before, because, you know, pride, ego, witchcraft, all these interferences were just messing around with them, okay? And yeah, they feel like they should just cut their losses. And they're still toying with that idea. They don't want to leave, and that's why he's saying, like, this whole process is like moving mountains. They still want to work with it, but they're tired, they're feeling dilapidated. And yeah, where he says, I've been standing in gas, and you have been the flame. So that's them once again trying to put the blame on you. And yeah, there's a term called gaslighting, which means, I think it means somebody where somebody makes you question your reality. So with this song, or how they're feeling right now, they're saying that they feel that there is no love. They feel that the relationship is done. They feel that the Lord has taken his hand off of them. They feel like there's no way forward. They're just so depressed, so suicidal, and so down in the dumps. But you've still been saying that, you love them and you care about them. You've been showing them little gestures here and there of, checking up on them, sending them encouraging scriptures, and just giving them a call to check up on them. So those little acts, and this is just the devil playing with them, in this moment. They feel like those little gestures and things that you say, you're gaslighting them. So that's what he means with, I've been standing in gas, and you have been the flame. And then he repeats the chorus. I won't go through it again. But yeah, the hook, he says, this must be a slow death that I'm traveling on. It feels so wrong. I'm barely holding on. See, no matter what it takes, I've got to get it together, baby, yeah. And these hills that I'm traveling up, she ain't showing me love. I'm down on my luck. Ooh, I'm done. So here they are finally acknowledging that they are depressed. They feel like this is just a journey to death. They've really been going through trying hard times, not only, with their physical surroundings and their physical well-being, but emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. They feel like the Lord is not with them. They feel like God has has left them. They feel like the Lord doesn't love them, and they feel like you don't love them anymore because you have been distant and you have that wall up now, and the Lord is putting them through judgment. So they don't see that them going through judgments is really for their growth. They think the Lord is just punishing them for the sake of punishing them, which is not true. Okay. um and yeah, he says here, no matter what it takes, I've got to get it together. So that right there, the Lord is conveying that he is, even through this whole process, them feeling depressed and suicidal and hopeless, that the Lord has put it in their hearts to get it together. The Lord has woken them up. He's made them come to a realization and an awakening that they need to get it together. They need to fight their inner demons. They need to put in the work, put in that inner work, so that they can come to be the kings that they really are, so that they can come to be the queens that they really are. Okay. um and yeah, they're just focusing on all of these mountains and these hills they have to climb, and they're so tired, but um they want to get it together now. They can see, like, as much as they're hopeless, that but they need to get it together. Like, there's a lot at risk. There's a lot that they have to lose. Okay. So that's what the Lord is conveying with that. And then yeah, it just goes back onto the chorus. And yeah, that's the end of the song. So that is song number 1. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the thunder is back, um, which is kind of crazy because in the song, the music video, it's a storm. Usher's going through this big storm, and there's mountains and snow and all of these things. So yeah, that's just, I don't know, maybe it's like a confirmation of sorts, but yeah. So yeah, that was Moving Mountains by Usher. And the Lord gave me an analogy of this process that they are going through. There's a term or a saying, like a slang type of thing, um, that people love saying nowadays um, of like cooking. So I don't know how to properly explain it, but if you know, you know, like when you're cooking, it means you're going through it, like you're feeling the heat. Okay, and it's not a good thing. It's a pretty negative slang term. But yeah, the Lord gave me an analogy regarding that term. So your kingdom spouse is cooking, right? They're going through it. They're seeing flames right now, with their judgment and the depression, the remorse, the guilt that they're feeling. And the Lord likened it to cooking a steak. Um, and yeah, I personally have not have not mastered how to cook a steak, but I know like the basics of it. So to cook a good steak, you season the meat, right? Your kingdom spouse is the meat. So you season the meat, and God is the cook. Yeah, God is the cook. I just want to put that out there. So the meat has been seasoned. It's a fresh, very thick, juicy, pleasant piece of meat. And then you heat your pan, right? You put your oil or your butter, and your herbs or whatever extra flavors that you need in the pan, and you heat the pan to a very high heat, to where the butter starts maybe turning a little bit brown, and the fat, it starts resembling like water. It has that same consistency as water. And then you place your steak in the hot pan, right? It's in flames. Okay, that heat is what is needed for it to be cooked, right? So right now, your kingdom spouse is cooking. They are being put to the test. They're going through the fire and the flames, okay? But when you have turned your steak, right, you cook it, you turn it over so that it can get nice and brown and cooked on both sides. And depending on how you like your steak, whether it's blue, um, or rare or medium rare or well done, you'll cook it for the the specific number of minutes until it is done to your preference. Okay, so for example, if you like your steak blue, you'll only cook on you'll cook your steak for like 1 to 2 minutes on each side. If you like your steak medium rare, you'll get for 5 minutes on each side, and if you like it well done, you'll cook it for more minutes. Okay, and then once you take the steak out of the pan, once the steak is done cooking, okay, you you place it to rest. Okay, it has to rest, it has to come off the heat so that the steak can get replenished. All the flavors must go back into each fiber of the meat, and the juices, that nice, what makes it tender, right, is the juices. So the juices have to sort of be drawn back into the meat so that when you cut into it, it's not too rough and it doesn't fall apart. It will just be this succulent, perfect piece of steak, and then it can be served. And the cook, which is the Lord, can can serve that steak in different ways. So the Lord is basically cooking your kingdom spouse. He's putting them through flames, but then with that, your kingdom spouse is going to come out of the flames and have time to rest. Okay, and that's where some of them are right now. They've gone, or they are going through their judgment, or coming out of their judgment, and they're resting. Okay, so they're regaining their energy, they're regaining their strength, and the Lord is preparing them to be served, to come back to you so that you can enjoy them. And also, it's not just you that the Lord is going to serve them to. Their purpose, their destiny goes far beyond the marriage. They have they have other people attached to them that they need to minister to in different ways. Okay, so the Lord has different purposes for your kingdom spouse, and the Lord is going to bring them in a season of rest so that they can rest and regroup, regain their energy, and be restored. Okay, that's the part about like the juices coming back into the meat. That's the restoration. Okay, so there's another song that the Lord gave me regarding the restoration, and I'm going to get into it now. Okay, sorry guys if you hear loud noise in the background. Once again, the rain has started and this thunderstorm is in full effect, so I apologize for that. But yeah, the next song that the Lord gave me was Last Time by AKA. And AKA was a very controversial figure in our music industry here in South Africa. He was, very prideful, very arrogant, as most rappers can be. And he had a very high level of fame and success. And yeah, in the past, he did, mock God. And, he did some terrible things, which I won't get into. You guys can Google him. You can just type in AKA or Kiernan Jared Forbes, and you'll see the headlines and everything. But he passed away, or should I say, he was murdered in a very brutal manner in February of this year, I believe. So it's been a couple of months since he passed away. But the amazing thing about AKA is that he lived his lavish, prideful, egotistical life, and he went through a very serious controversial relationship in which his partner unfortunately committed suicide, and that caused him to retreat from the public eye, and he was under scrutiny. The world was pretty much judging him because it was speculated that he was allegedly responsible for his fiance's death. So there's a lot of like darkness around him, and he retreated, and he found God. The Lord sent people to him to minister to him and to help him regain strength and learn more about God. I will post a part of an interview where he speaks about this. I'll post the link in the description box so you guys can check it out. So even through his darkness, and him going through his own judgment and wrath season, the Lord restored him. He got time to rest and regroup and really figure out what's important in life. And he chose Jesus. Okay, and his last album, was really beautiful, and the song in particular pretty much sums up his journey and where he was at the time in the most beautiful way. And the Lord, I think the Lord wishes to convey that it will be the same with your kingdom spouse. They might be going through this heavy, dark period of judgment and going through depression and anxiety and just living with guilt and remorse, but the Lord will restore your kingdom spouse. Okay, so this is Last Time by AKA, and it says, I told you once and I told you before that love is supposed to be something more than a pastime. I said I dust myself off and make my way to the next time. This is the last time. Okay. And in the verse it starts, he says, I'm coming with the full court press. Yes, Transnet, School of Excellence, all black uniform, that's at Nike Tech. Chabalala, Mexico, the corner of the net. This is the wall of Jericho. We sitting on your neck. Mega, it's a miracle you came back from the dead. Okay, so here there's a lot of like lyrics in this song that you will only understand if you come from South Africa, but it's universal. It has a universal message at the end of the day. So here where he says he's coming with the full court press, and the line where he says, this is the wall of Jericho, be sitting on your neck, Mega, it's a miracle you came back from the dead. He's talking about, the wall of Jericho. When the Israelites were marching, the Lord instructed them to march around the wall 7 times, and the 7th time they should give a loud shout, and the walls did come tumbling down, and subsequently the Israelites, with the Lord's help, took over the land of Jericho. So this is AKA just saying that he's here, he's made a full transformation, and he's here to step on the neck of his enemy. He's there with boldness and courage. A shout is something loud. You can't miss the sound when somebody shouts. Okay, so this is him declaring that he's here, he's alive again. And where it says, Mega, it's a miracle you came back from the dead, His nickname, people affectionately called him Super Mega. So he came back from the dead, meaning that he went through his dark times. He went through his own personal judgment, but the Lord brought him through, and the Lord resurrected him and revived him. Okay. So, yeah, he goes on to say this journey is spiritual, but don't forget the bread. Remember what Mikado said, just take care of the kids. Zakes on the decks, Dala Afrotech, Zaga Zaga Zaga, more elastic bands. At the top, Kilimanjaro, South A is the flag. South A is South Africa. Shout out Johnny Clegg, Kulichana Living Legend, Blessed, Time. I guess I stood the test. Jesus is the gas. I got too much in the tank. So this is how your kingdom spouse, the Lord is going to bring your kingdom spouse to this point where you know they're feeling revived spiritually. They're gonna be at the top of their game. AKA says here, Zaga Zaga Zaga, more elastic bands. You know, the Lord has promised a wealth transfer to some of us, you know, and within your marriage, because your kingdom spouse is attached to you and you both are attached to the Lord, there will be favor on your marriage. Okay, the Lord will bless you with resources, be that in the form of money or tools that will help you to make money. You guys are going to be making bank. Okay, and then AKA just gives a shout out to like some really well-known South African artists. And then, yeah, he says that he was blessed and he had time and he stood the test. You know, he went through his testing. He went through his period of judgment and wrath, you know. But at the end of the day, he had Jesus with him. And he was saying here that he has too much of Jesus within him. So he's unstoppable. And then it goes back to the chorus. I'm not going to read that. But yeah, second verse. Okay, first things first, I gotta give thanks. All protocol observed to the big man. The prodigal son returns, my ego in ashes. Had to come down to earth and read a few chapters. Genesis, Matthew, built my own statue. I was moving too fast. You is that travel. Paris, c'est la vie. They tell me bonjour. And I got receipts, Space Jam, Concorbs. So here he's basically acknowledging the Lord and his goodness, you know, and he's acknowledging that he was also once a prodigal son. You know, a lot of our kingdom spouses are prodigals, okay? They ran away from the Lord. They were chasing the things of the world, just like doing the most and opposing the Lord, but the Lord redeemed them and they returned back home to the Father. So the Lord is conveying here that your kingdom spouse, their ego will also be in ashes. They will die to their self. They will come to their senses and return back to Him. Okay, and yeah, where he says he had to read a few chapters, Genesis, Matthew, that's just like getting more into the Word, reading the Bible, getting to know God more. So that's what your kingdom spouse will also be doing, or that's what they are doing, you know, if they have already gone through their judgment. Okay. And yeah, he just talks about like how he was living the fast life, traveling overseas, and he's got receipts. So yeah, AKA was just bragging there. And some of you guys, you are going to be traveling. Some of you will not have like a permanent home base. The Lord will send you and your kingdom husband to various places all over the world for ministry, you know, for work. And your assignments are not going to be uh, based in one particular place. So yeah, maybe the Lord is saying get your passports ready. Okay. The next part, um brands you ain't seen, even Virgil Abloh's. I've been around the world. I'm on my fourth passport. At the forefront of the game, I'm a pioneer, took my shots to the chest. They hung me by the neck, sacrificed my reputation, drew lines in the sand so the next generation don't have to bow their head. Okay, so the Lord is conveying here that, your kingdom spouse took their shots, they faced intense spiritual warfare, and even through this judgment, some of them, their reputation may have been decimated. And yeah, they've been going through the most, they people around them, the court of public opinion had hung them by their neck. So that's once again alluding to death of their self, death of their ego, death of their pride. Okay, and yeah, they sacrificed a lot during this whole process just to be with the Lord and to be with you. All right. Yeah, so the next part, it just mentions like a bunch of South African artists that are legends, and pioneers. But here, where he mentions Jabba Amu tear gas squatter, Salvin say a prayer, just dip me in the water so I can start again, connected to the ash and the soil, the flat and the poikiko spoil. So here, as he's naming these legendary artists in the South African music industry, one of them is Salvin, who was like a major rapper back in the day. And Sullivan actually turned his life around, and the Lord did a work within him, gave him the gift of salvation, and Sullivan became a pastor, and he actually ministered to a lot of the greats in our music industry, and he ministered to AKA. I remember watching the news around the time that AKA passed away, and they interviewed Pastor Kabelo from Raymond Bible Church and Salvin, as they were, going to pay their condolences to the family. And they were a witness to AKA's growth, just testifying that he had given his life to the Lord, and that his death was such a tragedy. So the same with your kingdom spouse. The Lord is going to place people around your kingdom spouse to give them good counsel, to help them on their journey, and they will, pray for your kingdom spouse. And you should also pray for your kingdom spouse as well. You never stop praying. Okay, excuse me. And yeah, the song continues on to say, connected to the ash and the soil, the flats and the poikiko spoil. It's hot in the Corolla, Eastgate boulders. Nobody is too rich for Oros. Oros is like a concentrate juice, so you mix it with water, but it's everyone's favorite drink. Yeah, you cannot come to South Africa without tasting Oros juice. It's like the best thing ever. Everyone loves it, from like the little kids to the grown-ups. It's just that drink. Okay, so yeah, here he's just going on to say that he's had an awakening, and these are the things that he's appreciating about his country and his life, the food, the cars, the places, and even little things like Oros. So in the same way, when your kingdom spouse is going through their restoration period, they're going to have a fresh new lease on life, and they're going to appreciate the little things, about life around them, and even the little things about you, things that they may have disregarded before. They are going to appreciate them more, and your relationship is going to be stronger. They will come back, and they will be restored. They'll be ready to serve you, and the things that the Lord had called them to do for you and with you, they will do all of that, but with 100 times more effort. Like the passion for God and the passion for you and the passion for life is going to be reignited, okay? And then yeah, the song just goes on to say, I told you once and I told you before that love is supposed to be something more than a pastime. And there, the Lord is conveying that your kingdom spouse realizes now that love is something important. This kingdom marriage, this relationship is something more than a pastime. In the past, they treated it like a hobby, like a plaything, and they maybe even treated you as like an insignificant thing. But now they will come to the realization that this love that you guys share and this love that the Lord brought together is more than a pastime. It's deeper than that. It's bigger than that. There's a greater purpose behind that, and they're going to appreciate it. And then, yeah, I said, I dust myself off and make my way to the next time. This is the last time. So yeah, they're just saying that they've gone through their judgment. They're gonna bounce back from this depression and this darkness that they're going through, and um, they're gonna be a new person, and they're going to make this the last time. So and the Lord is also saying that this will be the last time that they are going to that they're going to have a go at this. The Lord won't give any more chances. It's now or never for them, and they can't play with it this time. There's not going to be any more false starts between you guys. It's now or never, or should I say, it's now until forever. So yeah, that's just basically what the Lord is conveying. Okay. So, guys, I just want to close out with this final scripture that the Lord gave me, and it sort of links in with the Moving Mountains song. The scripture is Matthew chapter 17, it's verse 14 to 20, and this is the encounter where Jesus Christ heals a demon-possessed boy. So let me just read. When they came to the crowd, a man approached Jesus and knelt before him. Lord, have mercy on my son, he said. He has seizures and is suffering greatly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him. And Jesus says here in verse 17, you unbelieving and perverse generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me. Verse 18, Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of the boy, and he was healed at that moment. Verse 19, then the disciples came to Jesus in private and asked, why couldn't we drive it out? And Jesus replied, because you have so little faith. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. So the Lord here is conveying that your kingdom spouse, as when they are gonna go through this judgment, or as they're going through this judgment, that he likens your kingdom spouse to this little boy who was tormented and suffered with seizures, and these seizures caused this boy to fall into fire and into the water. Okay, your kingdom spouse may be dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts, feeling hopeless, dilapidated, and they feel like this relationship is dead. They feel like nothing can be recovered, but the Lord wants to heal them. The Lord is going to heal them. And faith is so important in this in this period. I feel like the Lord is testing a lot of our patience, and He's testing our faith. Um, these relationships, they kind of look dead, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But if we have the faith of of a mustard seed, a mustard seed is so tiny, you would almost mistake it for a grain of sand. Like, that's how tiny it is. So imagine if with so little faith, that small amount of faith, that you can actually make mountains move. You can command things to change. You can make things happen, and it's by the power of God, obviously. Our faith moves the Lord. Our faith pushes Him to work for us and work with us. So the Lord wants to convey with the scripture that, yes, your kingdom spouse may be suffering greatly right now, or they have suffered greatly, but He will restore them. He will take them out of that hot frying pan. He will make them rest. They'll be re-energized, revived. They'll have a new lease on life, and they'll just have like a fresh new passion for the Lord and for this kingdom marriage that the Lord is putting together. So the Lord wants you to hold on to faith, continue having faith that the Lord will bring this work to completion. And if the Lord leads you, keep encouraging your kingdom spouse. Or if the Lord hasn't allowed you to, speak to them yet, pray for them. Pray long and hard for them, The Lord really wants to see this faith come into action, okay? And I love what Jesus Christ says here in verse 20. He says, nothing will be impossible for you. So, when the Lord brings these marriages together, when He delivers our kingdom spouses from, the various things that are afflicting them, the things that are causing them to feel depressed, all the trauma and the bondage, when the Lord brings them out, nothing will be impossible for you. Nothing will be impossible for your kingdom spouse. Nothing will be impossible for you as the wife. And nothing will be impossible for you and your kingdom husband together, when you're united in holy matrimony under God's leadership and guidance. Nothing will be impossible, and the Lord will do massive exploits for you. This marriage is not just for the both of you, it's for everyone. It's deeper than you, and it's bigger than you. It's for the generations that are gonna come after you as well. I think AKA in the song, he mentioned something about, so the next generation won't have to bow their heads or something. It's about the next generation. It's about the people that are around you, the people that are attached to your assignments, the people that the Lord is going to send you to, the nations that the Lord is going to send you to. It's bigger than you guys. So I just want to encourage you guys to continue standing and to continue having faith. And if you feel that you're at a place where you don't have any faith, ask the Lord to just reignite that faith flame in your life. The Lord is the God of, bringing things to life. He can make things new again. Nothing is impossible for God. So because you are a child of God, you've chosen Jesus, you've sacrificed everything for Jesus. Nothing will be impossible for the Lord, and He will revive the dead things. He will revive your dead faith. He'll revive your dead relationship, and even dead opportunities. He will bring them back to life But of course, always go to the Father for direction, for leading, for counseling, and yeah, of course, go to the Lord to inquire whether this word is for you. But yeah, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I hope that it ministered to you in some way or form. And I'm sorry, my voice, it kind of goes funny at the time of recording this last night. Excuse me, I was feeling pretty nauseous, so where my voice sounds like really shaky or it's breaking, excuse me, it's because of the nausea. So yeah, I just wanted to apologize for that. But yeah, I hope that this word locates who it needs to locate. And yeah, I'll be signing out. Yeah, please do read the scriptures that are listed in the description box. And of course, go to the Lord. He will minister more to you. He'll give you more insight, more clarity, and more confirmations. But yeah, let me sign out. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Continue to stay blessed. Stick with the Lord. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.